White dwarfs. So small, so lonely, so beautiful. Let's blow it up. Before we talk about Type 1a supernovae, we must first talk about binary stars. A binary star is a system of two stars that orbit a center of mass. Here is an example of a binary star system containing two main sequence stars. The gravity of each star pulls at the other, resulting in the orbit you see here. Binary star systems have an interesting property called a Roche lobe. The Roche lobe is the gravitational region around a star in a binary system where the star's stuff still belongs to them. If either star gets too big and surpasses its Roche limit, then the smaller star begins to steal some of its stuff and accretes the bigger star's mass. Like all things in life, main sequence stars die. But before dying, they go through life in a series of stupendous and beautiful phases, each as interesting and as unique as the last. Main sequence stars live by fusing hydrogen into helium at their core. The thermal pressure generated by this fusion keeps the star stable, but hydrogen doesn't last forever. Eventually, these stars will run out of fusible hydrogen and must turn to helium as a fuel source, fusing helium into heavier elements like carbon and oxygen. When that happens, stars enter their middle age. They expand and cool, thus leaving the main sequence and becoming either a red giant or a red supergiant, depending on its mass. When a red giant runs out of fusible matter, it sheds its outermost layers, and all that is left is the tiny core in the middle, the white dwarf. White dwarfs are significantly smaller than their red giant parents. While red giants can have a radius as big as 200 times that of the Sun, the average white dwarf is only about as big as Earth. While its parent star was held up by fusion in its core, white dwarfs are held up by electron degeneracy pressure. In order for a Type 1a supernova to occur, one will need a binary star with a white dwarf and a main sequence star. An example of a binary star system containing a white dwarf can be found in our own night sky. The star Sirius, though it appears to be a single star from Earth, is actually a binary star involving a main sequence star and a white dwarf. For reference, here's a picture of the white dwarf. No, not that big thing in the middle. That's the main sequence star, Sirius A. Sirius B, its white dwarf companion, is right there. Here is a model of the Sirius star system. Sirius A is the big one, Sirius B is the little one. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's watch some explosions. As the main sequence star grows old, it expands to become a red giant. Now as it expands, there is a chance that the giant will grow past its Roche lobe and begin accreting mass onto the white dwarf. The white dwarf gleefully accepts this accreted matter, and it forms an extremely hot and extremely volatile atmosphere of hydrogen on its surface. This event is known as a nova. No, not a supernova, just a regular nova. But wait, I thought we were building up to a supernova, not a nova. Where's the explosion? You promised an explosion. Well, there is an explosion in a nova, but only in the star's new hydrogen atmosphere. But you're right, fellow viewer, that's not good enough. No, we don't want to see the star's atmosphere explode. We want to see the star itself explode. For that, we'll need to talk about this man. This is Indian-American astrophysicist Subramanian Chandrasekhar. He is best known for his work on calculating the Chandrasekhar limit. The Chandrasekhar limit is the maximum amount of mass a white dwarf can gain before electron degeneracy pressure can no longer keep it stable. This limit is about 1.4 solar masses. A white dwarf can approach this limit either from the accretion process I mentioned earlier, or through the merger of two smaller white dwarfs. Once this limit is reached, electrons flee into the nucleus, and the white dwarf collapses into a neutron star. Now, as cool as that sounds, most white dwarfs rarely reach this limit. Why? Because typically, as a white dwarf approaches the Chandrasekhar limit, a Type 1a supernova occurs. Let's go back to the accretion example. As the red giant dumps its mass onto the white dwarf, there is a chance that, instead of becoming a nova, the white dwarf will gain some fusible matter. Its pressure increases, and it starts cooking. For the first time since it became a white dwarf, the little star fuses its heavy elements. This runaway fusion generates immense amounts of energy within the white dwarf's center, and then it explodes. Okay, that was interesting. But Type 1a supernovae, what are they good for? Well, besides looking cool, Type 1a supernovae helped astronomers in cracking one of the biggest mysteries of the universe, its expansion. Type 1a supernovae are distinct from their Type 2 counterparts in that hydrogen is absent from its spectra. As a matter of fact, it was by looking at their spectra that astronomers were able to classify supernovae into Type 1 and Type 2. This allowed astronomers to use Type 1a supernovae as standard candles. By determining their energy output, astronomers could determine their distance from Earth, and by recording their distances, astronomers could determine how fast the universe's rate of expansion was changing. Thanks to Type 1a supernovae, astronomers found that the universe was not slowing down as they had hoped, but actually speeding up. The universe was accelerating. Why? Well, that's a story for another time. I'd like to conclude this video with a poem. Star of my life. Star of my life, apple of my eye, my friend as we float through the endless void. It is dark. It is lonely. It troubles me so, its absoluteness, its emptiness. But by your side I have no fear. By your side I am not afraid. My love, my joy, my one and only, who dances with me to this tune we call life. Little one, take my blood so that you may grow. Dim one, take my heart so that you may shine brighter than even I. Elder one, who is wise beyond years, who has diminished to a grain, do not cry. You are not alone. The time will come when I am old, and I shall be as you are, and together we will burn until the world goes cold. Thanks for watching.